So what's this FMQ all about? Well, it's me just encouraging you to be and act in a way that if you already had your dream, how'd you be? Have a listen, because I think it will make a complete mega difference to the way you achieve your goals. Big statement. It's a Cluffy statement. Enjoy.
Warning.
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 Warning. You are entering into the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. Too late. Personal Development Unplugged.
Act as if. That's what I want to talk about today. We've talked about fake it until you make it. That was way back in, FMQ 27. It's ages ago. How did I find out it was FMQ 27? Have I got this wonderful brain of mine that just stores up in all its memory? Well, I have got a wonderful brain. At least I think so. But no, I use that app, Castbox. I'm subscribed to myself there. No, I know that's sad. But I do it because then I can search within that, and I just looked up fake it and poof, number 27 came along. Now, the whole thing about that FMQ and the fake it until you make it is that is just BS. It says it in the title, fake it. And if you're faking it, you're faking it. And I go into that in that FMQ. Others may say, and I think quite rightly, if you want to be a blank in this world, say it's your career, you want to be a manager, maybe you want to be, I don't know, you want to be whatever you want to be. And it doesn't have to be in your career. It could be in your social life, your health and safety, your sporting things or your hobbies or what. Basically, you fill in the bloody blank. If you want to be a blank, then act like a blank. That's all you have to do, act like it. But act like it a blank. It doesn't sound right, does it? Act like a blank. But if you act as if, or how that role, when you get there, how would you act? How would you be? And if you could act that way now, why don't you act that way now? But it's not just acting, because that's I think it's the wrong terminology. Just be that way. Think how you'd talk, think how you'd think how you'd move your body, think how you dress, think of what things you would do if you'd have already achieved what you want to achieve, and then be it. Now see, a long time ago, not that long ago, it's quite a long time ago, when I was doing my trainers training, people modelled the trainers, because there's two guys there. One was Robert Dilts, and the other was someone I've completely forgotten. But she was absolutely wonderful. I'm going to think of her name shortly. And we modelled them as they were giving their lectures. And there were some people who, I would model by listening to the words and try to watch the micro movements, but studying the words, their inflections, their facial expressions. What was the process they were trying to explain? How are they doing it? There were others, though, who would model the physiology, and they'd go to the back of the room, and as they're listening, they're following the posture of the trainer. And it's quite weird to watch. And it must have been really difficult to train that way, because if you imagine you're giving your talk, and as you're moving your body, you've got these people at the back of the room, like being a mirror to you. But that's how they felt they could get into the psyche of the person they're modelling. And that does work, because we used to do a thing very similar to that on our NLP trainings, whereas we would get in the position of someone who was not moving, but thinking about a particular event. And they'd go into a position that reminded them of it and allowed them to think about it. And then if you were to actually put yourself in exactly that same position, we used to get people around saying, no, move your leg, move this, no, breathe a bit slower, look in that direction. And the more you get into that physiology, would then go, what are you thinking? What are you experiencing inside? And they'd say something, and the person they were modelling would go, how did you know that? And it was as if somehow they just tuned into each other's experience, or the person who was being modelled experience. So the thing is, the more you use your physiology, and the physiology means everything about you, the way you think, the way you talk, the way you move, you can actually act as if in such a great way. Now, because if you think about it, there's the other way, or another reason why this works. Because I think I've explained to you the old NLP communication model. Something happens on the outside, you take it in through your 5 senses, or however many senses you believe you've got, but certainly your visual, your auditory, your kinesthetic, your olfactory, and your gustatory. So your sight, your hearing, your feelings, your taste, and your smells. And you create an internal representation in your mind of what you're experiencing and what that means to you, maybe. So you've got this little picture running in your mind. Maybe it's a movie, maybe it's a still, maybe there's sounds, and it creates a state inside you, an emotion. And that emotion also is linked to your physiology. And when you put them all together, poof, out comes a behavior. Well, as they're all linked together, think about it this way. What happens when you change your physiology? Well, when you change your physiology, you change your emotion, don't you? Very difficult to stay in the same emotion that you were a couple of minutes ago if you act completely different. And when you do that and your emotion changes, guess what happens to the pictures in your mind? That internal representation. It's got to change too, isn't it? And gets you to think in a different way, to see the world in a different way. See it the way you want it. Now, how can you do this? Because I always like to leave you a how. You know that. You know that. Because, how do you find the thing, the person, to model? Well, find a role model. Find the person who's already doing it. Watch them. You could always ask them questions and model them in everything they do. Ask for the pictures they make in their mind and what they're saying to themselves and all that. But if nothing else, look at the way they move, the sound of their voice. I don't want you to be a clone, but just notice, do they speak calmly, slowly, the pace of the speech? At the end of the day, you're you. But if you want to model them in their physiology, to be able to act as if, watch and study. Be curious. So this could be in your actual place of work, or maybe it's a sporting thing, you watching your sporting hero. Because when you think about it, if you remember when I was talking about the young golfer, I had them go into, in their mind, their hero of a golfer, doing exactly what they wanted to do, and then go into that golfer and become them just for a moment or two to learn what they need to learn to take back to themselves. So they're being themselves and adapt it to their way. So now they can act as if they are a professional golfer, and how would they think and do? And it just seems to work. I mean, you can also read autobiographies to get a sense in your mind, the pictures you make in the mind, to have your imagination, to see how they would be, and then emulate that and see how you can adapt it for yourself. Because again, acting as if is great, but copying, mimicking, that's not the way, because that's not you, is it? And I want you to be you. But we might have to mimic for a moment just to get an understanding, and then say, how can I use this with my physiology, my way, and to my goal? And then just let your imagination run wild. And be thinking how you would walk, how you may dress, the words you'd use? What type of things could you begin to study to get even more information to be that person, that you, quicker, easier? Because that's all we want. Certainly, that's all I want for you, is to be the real you. I always say, sing from your voice, to show up being the real you. But there's no reason you can't act as if you've already got that dream, your goal. That's something to think about. Something to think about. And just another quick reminder, there is, well, it's still in a long way off from being complete, but there is the new website, personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. So if you want to have more information on the actual written words and you want to see it on your computer, also get it on your laptops and your phones and things like that. We've got a lot of written words, got some lovely pictures, got pictures of me. If that's what you really want. But that's another thing where you can get or you can just search around anyway for the other episodes that I've done. You can share it there and you can subscribe and things like that. Or you will be able to when I've finally got it done, because I'm doing it and I'm not that good. But hey, it's a nice little project to do on an evening, isn't it? Is it? Yeah, of course it is. So there you go. Have a play. Have a think, though. That's I guess what I'm urging you to do, is to rethink about this acting as if. Set your goal. And when you add to your goal, how can I act as if I've already got it? Not just having the feeling of the wish fulfilled, but acting as if you've got the wish fulfilled as well. Put those two together, and I think you'll find dramatic changes in the speed that you get your goal and how well you get your goal. Maybe you'll be really surprised. You never know. Enjoy every heartbeat. And yeah, that's it from me, and I'll speak to you again real soon. Hey, I know what you're thinking. I've heard this before, but you haven't heard this one. Anyway, I know you've only got so much time in the world. Time is precious. And you've only got so much time to share good things with your friends. So maybe the next time you consider sharing something, you can consider sharing this podcast, or a podcast of mine, of Personal Development Unplugged, that you enjoyed, and share it with, I'd like you to share it with everyone. You know, the pay it forward. And if you pay it forward and then you ask somebody else to pay it forward, you know, we'll be really creating this community of the Personal Development Unplugged kind. So I'd love you to do that, if you could. If you would like to subscribe to this podcast, you can do it through iTunes, you can do it through Castbox. You can do that. And if you would love to leave a little review, 5 stars is always good, but the words are really more important. If you do that, it takes about, people say, oh, it takes seconds, but it doesn't. It takes probably a couple of minutes. If you could do that right now, hey, that would be good. And lastly, all this hypnosis that I do is completely free. You have to go to another website though. Keeps it all nice and clean for you. It's also downloadable, which is the bit I like. I want to give it to you, and so you can put it on any device that you want, and you can listen to it anywhere you want. You don't need to have your Wi-Fi, your internet on. So that's at paulcloughonline.com/podcast. You do have to put an email address in, because I have to send you the link to get it. But I just want to tell you now, for all this data protection stuff and everything that's going on at the moment, I do not share your emails with anyone. No one. Nada. They're just to let me send you the link and send you a few updates of the new hypnosis tracks. And what I'm hoping to do as this community, because that's how you get to become like the official member of the Unplugged Personal Development community, is to send some more personal hypnosis tracks that won't be available or talked about on the podcast. There'll be things of my creation which I just want to give to you. So if you'd like that, go there, paulcloughonline.com/podcast. We'll have some great times. We will. I think that's about it. So enjoy every heartbeat. please remember, do share. Be great. Bye now.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.